this special episode on Third Phase of Moon, correspondents Doc Skinner along with Richard Giordano meet up with Dr. Greer in Scottsdale, Arizona in regards to his new documentary that's free for everyone on Amazon Prime, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. We get an exclusive interview with Dr. Greer, and he gives us a bombshell of an interview. Listen up.
Dr. Greer, do you think there's any chance that the current administration might disclose before transitioning to the new administration?
The question about whether any administration will disclose this subject is something that I wouldn't wager on. However, as you may have heard today, there's a very senior team that are working with me from the White House. What I have been told is their intention is to disclose all this information prior to January 20th. That's the possible good news. I'll believe it when I see it. It should happen. The bad news is that the intelligence community has been in the White House for 3 or 4 years and providing blatantly false information, disinformation, to the president and vice president, and they have concluded that it is a threat to the national security. And so a disclosure of that type would be 1,000 times worse than the secrecy.
When I got involved in the issue of the UFO issue and the ET issue, starting in 1977 with President Carter, I realized that the work that I was doing was characterized by the national security state as a target for counterintelligence activities. When I see this thing happening with this To the Stars Academy, where they suddenly appear on the front page of the New York Times, and the CNN all of a sudden wants to talk with them, and they're on MSNBC and all this kind of stuff, I immediately kind of realized, wait a second, this is part of what I've been worried about coming out, because they were constantly spinning this story, that this is a threat.
My name is Tom DeLong. A lot of people know me from my band Blink-182. I started that band when I was 16.
Through a series of meetings, I was soon connected to a large group of U.S. government officials from the CIA, the Department of Defense, and Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. These guys were the ones involved in the secretive U.S. government programs that dealt with these subjects.
What's happening is the To the Stars Academy people, we're all, Jim Simi Van, who's there, the chief of covert operations, domestic for CIA, which in and of itself is totally against the law. The National Security Act of 1947 completely, clearly, and unequivocally prohibits any kind of covert operation stateside. But here, that's who he is. And there he is there, and you got the guys from the DIA and the Defense Department and Hal Puthoff and stuff, and they're all there, and what they're doing is they're putting this intense spin. Every single thing they talk about all has this kind of gestalt to it, that this is a threat.
And it very well could be a threat.
It's a threat to our national security. It's a threat to our airspace. It's a threat to our sovereignty. It's what it is. It's a threat to our dominion over our own planet. And of course, they think that's their job. Our job is to assert full spectrum dominance over the entire planet. We actually have the documents from the 1992 United States Defense Department Policy Planning Guidance document, where they said that right at the dissolution of the Soviet Union, said, oh, we've got to not cut back on our military spending. We have to increase it so we can establish full spectrum dominance.
As most of you know, in 1999, after having dealt with the Clinton administration and the CI director for Bill Clinton, I concluded that the folks who were really in charge of keeping these things secret only want it disclosed within the context of it being an alien threat, which of course we know that that's been the narrative. That's 99% of the UFO subject, 99% of Hollywood, 99% of the History Channel, documentaries, 90+%. So that, of course, is worse than it being kept secret. Because why? That would create a global panic to galvanize support around a totalitarian military initiative to counter the presence of ETs. So the good news is The administration absolutely knows the UFOs are real. I know this from people who are in the administration who talk to Trump and Pence directly, daily. They, however, are, been totally misguided, like Marco Rubio, the Senator Rubio, the Senate Intelligence Committee, into thinking that they are a national security threat. And of course, that's the narrative that you see on CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times, all the stuff coming out from all the disinformation agents that have penetrated the media and sort of hoodwinked the TTSA group, most of whom are counterintelligence experts from the Pentagon. Counterintelligence means, controlling and putting out disinformation and false narratives. So in this case, the administration is absolutely favorably disposed to disclosing. They are convinced it's real. And I have been working since August, I'll say this now, directly with people very high in the administration, providing them with an alternative perspective. So whether anything happens in the next 2 months, we got exactly 2 months before noon on January 20th. Now, on the other end of it, since President-elect Biden won the election, then we have people on my team, one of whom grew up with Mr. Biden, that we're providing briefing materials to them to try to get them on the page of not only disclosing the subject, but also doing it in a way that's hopeful, positive, forward-looking, and not warmongering. Yeah. But that's also a very heavy lift, because I provided a briefing to Senator Joe Biden when he was chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and at that time he was very much not favorably disposed to bringing this information out at all. So all I can say is it ain't over till it's over, and we are working very hard. I've been working 20 hours a day virtually since August, doing things with President Putin in Russia, getting information to him through people on my team who have direct access to the president, to the vice president, and now Biden. What happens is anyone's guess. All we can really do is provide advice and information, alternative information from what the fox's garden hen house that come in from the CIA or the Pentagon, who brief these sort of people. They're obviously going to tell the party line, because their job is to increase military intelligence and all that spending, which enriches, guess what, the military-industrial complex. So the question is how that's actually going to all play out, and all I can tell you is I don't know. Well, I'm hopeful, and people should be hoping and praying that it turns out well.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. The question is often asked, when will UFO disclosure happen?
These lights, they keep coming together?
The answer is, it has.
The New York Times revealed the existence of a secret government program to investigate UFO sites.
This is a very complicated story. I have put a briefing together for every president since Bill Clinton. Interplanetary war. This is the next big thing that they want the public to be afraid of.
This is a national security imperative.
We must have American dominance in space.
But it's all a lie.
The national security state, they want to establish a planetary government by spinning that this is a threat.
One set of facts, two narratives. The threat isn't extraterrestrial. The threat is covert human.
The Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind protocols, developed by Dr. Greer, is the most dangerous information he has released to the public. Human-initiated communication with extraterrestrials is possible.
All of us are going to know the truth. This is our moment.
We have the ability to change life for the better.
Consciousness isn't limited by space and time. What I'm doing with CE5 is the foundation for the relationship between humans and these extraterrestrials.
But the implications are absolutely profound. It shows consciousness does affect reality.
A critical mass of people can shift an entire civilization. But the intelligence community don't want the public to know. They say, what's in it for me? It's easy. A new world, if you can take it.
Oh my God. So why does the dark secret government have a problem with your CE5 protocol initiative?
Well, I know, classified projects do not want people to be empowered to make contact bypassing the super state, let's call it. So what's more empowering than people, what I've said years ago was, okay, bye-bye. In the 90s, I tried to get the Congress and the president back then to do something. We had already started the CE5 contact program and had successful contact happen, which was well documented that the intelligence community knew about. What they didn't like was the fact that it was out of their control. Because remember, these are control freaks writ large. And so since it was out of their control, they didn't want this to happen, to get out there. And what, the head of Army Intelligence, General Albert Stubblebine III, Bert told me, and some NSA and CIA people pulled me aside in 1992 and said, look, we understand that consciousness and thought and the protocols that you're teaching people is the Rosetta Stone. Absolutely is the Rosetta Stone for contact. They all know this. But if enough people do it, then they can't control it and suppress it. And of course, obviously, they can sort of make problems for me personally or a team that I'm with. But if there are millions of people doing this, then it's game over. Yeah. Which is why we did this film, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And with it, as important as the film, I feel more important is the CE5 Contact app. Because that's an entire training program in an app but you can get now. It's on the stores for Google and Android and iPhones. So I sort of feel like that's really what we need to be focusing on. It's not that I'm not focused on what might happen at the White House or Congress, what have you. We very much are. But I think that the real action is in the hands of we the people. It's in the hands of the populace. But the populace has to be educated and informed and take action. If they just sit and do nothing, you can see what sit and doing nothing has gotten us in 60 years of secrecy.
When you accept what this science is showing us, that we are all connected, and you then say, well, hold on a second, if we're not just connected with human beings, but we're also connected with the plant life, with the planet itself, with the entire animal kingdom, and you begin to develop that deeper sense of empathy with all that, who's to say that that interconnectedness doesn't extend to all the other planets, to the cosmos? If we share that with extraterrestrials, what does that world look like?
If consciousness and thought can affect something at a distance, and at a very great distance, even many miles or thousands of miles away, instantaneously, what does that mean for us communicating with a civilization that is centered in the science of consciousness? And that is their chief operating system. It's not electromagnetic, they use it, but it's beyond that. So now add to everything we know about the internet and communications and telecom, and then add a deeper level of trans-dimensional physics that involve electronic devices very clearly picking up intended coherent thought. That's what you're dealing with. It's like Dr. John's random number generator experiment on a cosmic scale, but at a level of perfection where there's precision with the thought that you project to it, its reception, and then its activity. Interstellar civilizations are using consciousness-assisting technologies and technologies that assist their own consciousness, both, in all their travel and communication systems. The central operating system for any interstellar competent civilization is the science of consciousness and all the physics that go with that.
Do you think the U.S. government has in its possession any off-world vehicles? If so, where do they get it from?
We know for a fact that they have multiple vehicles from other star systems. Absolutely. Yes, and that's begun to leak out. Out here in Fort Huachuca in Arizona, near Tombstone, there's a UGB, an underground base, where back years ago, a man who worked in that facility said we have 9 different extraterrestrial vehicles there, and a storage area with all the dissected bodies, ET bodies. So yes, absolutely they do. They've been studying them, of course, since the 40s or before. A little bombshell I'll share with you. I received very recently a photograph that fell out of some belongings of a woman who had been at the atomic bomb site in 1945 and then was transferred to Roswell. But it's a photograph of an ET being dissected on a table from the 1920s. So this goes back, when I talk about the lost century, that there's a century of knowledge, technology, information that is just poof, gone, into the black hole of Calcutta, the black pit of secrecy. That is really true. And I was astounded. We had the top experts in the world for medical equipment and clothing look at this. And they said it's absolutely from the 20s, between 1922 and 29. And it's an ET on a slab being autopsied and dissected. So that we have just acquired. The family that has shared it with me has allowed me to put it in the briefing for the president and the president-elect. They have not cleared me to release it publicly, and I honor my word. So hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to convince them to let us put that out. The men and women who are on this stage can prove that we are not alone.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty hush. I don't think I should talk about that.
The project was called the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, run by an official named Luis Elizondo.
I think this is a national security imperative.
This is the next big thing they want the public to be afraid of.
Have you not watched Unacknowledged?
What is Unacknowledged?
You gotta watch Unacknowledged.
What is that one?
Okay, you gotta watch Unacknowledged.
What is it?
You gotta watch Unacknowledged.
Things started to appear.
How do we develop that relationship with the occupants of the UFOs? And that's what this is about.
What would you like to have people take away after watching Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind?
I think the big takeaway from Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which is now on Amazon globally, so is Unacknowledged. But this documentary, I did it very quickly, and a lot of people don't know why. Because I had back channels coming out of the administration, the Trump administration, as well as the Congress saying, this is on a fast track to have this issue disclosed as a national security threat and as a world threat. Just exactly what Wernher von Braun warned about in the 70s before he died. So I said, you know what? We've got to get this message out to millions of people who will take the matter into the hands of the people who are awake, conscious, enlightened, loving, good, regular people. Most people are not sociopathic murderers, all right? Most people are good people, but those good people can't do nothing. So this movie is really a call to action. And the big takeaway is 30 years of making contact. I've headed up, this is the 30th anniversary right now of the CE5 Contact Initiative. We've never been harmed. We've never been scared. We've never had anything terrible happen. We've had people have amazing healings with the ETs there, which are in the film, you'll see it. But, so I tell people, we have to get out of our fear mind and get into our higher consciousness and heart and love state and be, in lieu of the government doing anything smart, we have to be the ambassadors from Earth to these civilizations visiting. And what's interesting is that that's what they're waiting for. Everyone says, what are they waiting for? Why don't they come? Why don't they land at the White House? And Larry King asked me that in the 90s. I said, they're waiting for an appropriate response that's not militarized and violent from humans. So I can tell everyone listening and everyone listening here, this is really ball in your court. You know, whether or not the White House, whether or not the Congress or the Kremlin or anyone else says anything about this, it'd be great if they would, and it would be something positive. But if they don't, guess what? We're not powerless. So this film is really a message of empowerment of we the people, how Jeffersonian, my farm in Virginia is right down the road from Thomas Jefferson's house. We the people have it in our power to make contact, to establish relationships, and if we need to, bypass the governments. So that's what that is. It's sort of a citizens diplomacy call to action. And the CE5 Contact app is the manual of how to do it, how to form a team. And also what's cool about the app, just so people know, when you get on there, you can see who is in your area that wants to do CE5 and form a team. So you don't have to be alone. We didn't have that until it came out in April. So now people can connect and network with people in their area and go out and do these contact protocols so they're not by themselves. So that's a very nice feature for people to network with.
Oh my God.
The New York Times revealed the existence of a secret government program.
This is a very complicated story. CE5 is the foundation for the relationship between humans and extraterrestrials. The intelligence community don't want the public to know. They say, what's in it for me? A new world, if you can take it.
Oh my God. This footage, captured by NASA's Discovery Space Shuttle on September 15, 1991, shows an extraterrestrial vehicle dodge an electronic weapon fired from Earth. Here, we see the craft slowly crossing the frame. There's a bright flash, and then it makes an abrupt right angle turn and flies off. Moments after the turn, we see the shot fired across space where the craft had just been.
Knowing all that, if they were hostile in the way we think of an invading hostile force, that would have been made abundantly clear to us the day we detonated the first atomic bomb. The fact is they have shown remarkable restraint, almost a level of Gandhian pacifism, not to have pushed back. So the threat isn't extraterrestrial, the threat is covert human. These secret projects are an existential threat to Earth, the environment, and to our peace in space and relationship with these civilizations. I remember being at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where a lot of the Roswell stuff ended up, and it was the Foreign Technology Division of the Air Force. And I was there to do a briefing, and the colonel said, well, what if these civilizations are a threat? He was trying to bring me into that view. And I said, sir, with all due respect, given the galactically stupid things you have been doing, if they were a threat, you would know it by now, and we would not be having this conversation and breathing the free air of Earth. It would have been point, set, match, over.
I want to thank Doc Skinner and Richard Giordano for their on-location reporting for Third Phase of Moon, bringing you the latest news coming from around the world. Give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this exclusive interview with Dr. Stephen Greer. Are you going to go watch the movie? Have you watched the movie? Let me know what you think and leave your comments below. Keep your eyes on the skies, everybody. We're not alone. We'll see you next time.